Hi there. Well, the day has finally arrived, and I'm here to present to you another useless Codex review. What are we reviewing? We are reviewing Codex Aeldari. This book I've been waiting for a while. We've got a whole bunch of updates and such. I've also, alongside this Codex review, I have a bunch of unboxing videos that will go up at the same time as well. So feel free to peruse through those for anybody who's curious as to what the sprues, what's inside the box, and all the usual unboxing kind of stuff. Useless Codex review. Well, why is this a useless Codex review? Well, because most Codex reviews tend to be more about the rules and unit changes and stuff like that. And I think there's going to be a majority of channels out there that are going to be covering that in a great amount of detail. Whereas myself, I'm more concerned with what's in the book, the look of the book, and of course the artwork and the lore, and as well as the rules. The rules are very important as well. But yeah, we're so strap on, and we are going to have a quick look at this codex. It is a 200-page tome. It is quite literally a tome, and this is fantastic. What can I say? It's the Codex Aeldari, man. I mean, like, there's so much here to like. There's so much artwork in here, pretty pictures, of course, and yeah, it gives you lots of the lore, the details of such. I'll probably just read off some of these little things here. I don't know. Basically, the Aeldari, a brief overview of the Aeldari themselves, as well as the fall of the Aeldari, the craft worlds. Gives you some inkling as to what they're about. The craft world hosts, guardian hosts, the Assyriani paths. Talks about like how the Eldar go about their daily lives, kind of thing. Then it goes into the craft worlds, Uthwi, Altiok. I don't know if I say those right, but whatever. Beltan. I love this piece of art right here for the Beltan. I really like that. Dire Avenger smacking up some Genes to their Cult warriors. Iandin, they're all about the wraiths, right? I really enjoy this piece for the Samhan. Little warlock on jet bike coming by and smacking an orc boy. Love it. If this comes out in as an art piece, yeah, I'll probably pick that up. And then, of course, it gives us the Wanderers of the Stars, which is basically all the minor craft worlds that we encounter. Here's another great piece of art. I made a quick video about this one. If Warhammer Art puts out a print of this, ooh yeah, you can bet I'm going to pick up a copy of it. Then, of course, we get into the Aspect Warriors, Dire Avengers, Warp Spiders, Shining Spears, Howling Banshees, Striking Scorpions, Dark Reapers, Fire Dragons, Swooping Hawks, and, of course, Crimson Hunters. Really, really good stuff. Lots and lots of background. The Hosts of the Dead talks about how the Wraiths, Wraith Guard, Wraith Blades, Wraith Lords, Wraith Knights. Then it gets into the Harlequins, gives us lots of stuff about the Harlequins and all the different, the Solitaires, Death Jesters, Shadow Seers, all the different masks for Harlequins. And then, of course, we get into the Ynnari, where we get Yvraine. Yvraine? I don't even know how you say her name. Yvraine? The Vizarch, and, of course, the Incarn. Incarn's a lot of fun. Then, of course, we get some of the Corsairs. Get some background on the Corsairs. A lot of fun. I like that it gives us some of the, what would you call those? The Corsair fleets. Is there a name for them? Little cadres? No, that's like for the Tau, isn't it? Either way, you get the Eldritch Raiders, the Steel Eye Reavers, the Sunblitz Brotherhood, and of course, the Void Dragons. The Void Dragons. Then we get into some pretty color pictures of miniatures and such. All the little color guides and, well, not the color guides, but the inspiration for, when you sit down and, paint your models and such. Now, there's one interesting little thing in here, in this book, is that you may notice a lot of the Eldar archway thingies and walkways. And there's one picture in here. I'll throw it up on screen here. It makes me believe that these are a terrain kit. Mainly because if you look at the picture, it has a seam down the back. But yeah, Yeah, there's one picture where you can see there's a seam. Now, is it possible these are 3D printed and assembled and, you know, they're not going to see light of day as far as, you know, being sold? Yeah, that's entirely possible. You know, were they just done for pretty pictures? That's very possible, right? But seeing that there's visible seam lines makes me think, right, where there's seam lines, there's injection molding. As the old saying goes, right? The Corsairs, can't wait for those models to come out. Definitely will be picking up a box. Oh yeah, it's this picture here. You can see there's a seam line running down the back. I saw that and I was kind of, So about page 80, you get into the rules. And it gives you all the Battleforge rules, the match play rules, army rules, crusade rules, data sheets, war gear points, and rules reference. Rules reference is near the end of the back. But yeah, of course, everybody saw the picture of the combat patrol. Everybody's speculating about that. Speculating. Assyriani detachment abilities, traveling players. Then, of course, we get into the craft worlds. And, of course, you know, myself personally, I mean, I'm a Samhan collector player. Man, like there's so much here. I mean, if you're familiar with the codexes, you know, it's all arranged in the typical fashion. Uthwi gets, you know, army attributes. They also get a warlord trait and a relic, and of course a stratagem specific to them. And that's pretty much the standard for all the major craft worlds. So Uthwi gets one, Altiok gets one, Beltan gets one, Iyanden gets one, and of course Samhan gets one. And of course the Samhan one is really, really cool. I normally don't play with my Samhan in a more close combat kind of role. Typically, I like to fight at range. I will involve some close combat troops, but usually it is like more foot troops, like Wraiths or, you know, Banshees, stuff like that. And in the previous editions, their special rules only apply to the bike units. Now, this one, it doesn't seem to be for bikes only, right? In the previous editions, you know, the bikes got the rerolls, got the, you know, stuff like that. Whereas this, it is attribute wild host, right? It doesn't say anything about bikes or anything like that. It doesn't differentiate between whatevers, right? It's any units. You can reroll charge rolls made for units with this attribute. Units with this attribute are eligible to declare a charge in the turn in which they fell back. That is really cool. That's everybody who can have the wild host attribute. Yeah, really, really cool. And then, of course, the warlord trait for them is the Wild Rider Chieftain. Add one to the warlord's attack characteristic, and the warlord can heroically intervene 6 inches instead of the 3, which I thought was really, really darn cool. And then, of course, the talisman of Tyanchar? It's a relic anyway. Samhan model only, so it doesn't differentiate like what kind of model, like a biker character, whatever, right? It just Samhan model. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack, if the bearer made a charge, move, or heroically intervene this turn, add 1 to the strength and damage characteristic of that attack and improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. That's pretty darn good. Then, of course, the Warriors of the Raging Winds. Use this stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select 1 Samhan biker unit from your army until the end of the phase. That unit is eligible to declare a charge even if it advanced this turn. Yeah, so I had made a video about the Shining Spears, how, you know, they can basically charge right across the field, and so that's how it's going to happen. Samhan, and they can re-roll it. They can re-roll their charge. And jet bikes can all just straight up go 6 inches. Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff, I know. And then, of course, I like the little quote here for the Samhan. The stars are aligned and the crimson moon rises. The hour of blood and clashing blades has come. Ride now, wild host. Ride forth to glory and to vengeance. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Quinelaris? It's a spirit seer of Samhan. Yeah. I like too how the picture for the Samhan is a warlock. Like, usually it's jet bikes, right? But here's the other fun part, is that after the main craft world section, it gives you far-flung craft worlds. So if your chosen craft world does not have an associated craft world attribute, see pages, you must instead create their craft world attribute by selecting far-flung craft world attributes from the list here. Unless otherwise stated, your craft world has 2 far-flung craft world attributes from the following list. And it's 2 pages of attributes. You get everything from In the Footsteps of the Ancients, Children of Cain, Children of Moray Hig, Children of Prophecy, Children of Open Skies, Diviners of Fate, Elite Citizenry, Expert Crafters, Grim, Hail of Doom, Headstrong, Hunters of Ancient Relics, Masterful Shots, Masters of Concealment, Mobile Fighters, Savage Blades, Swift Strikes, Students of Vol, Superior Shurikens, Vengeful, Warding Runes, Webway Warriors, and Wrath of the Dead. What does Wrath of the Dead do for you? Wraith Construct units, excluding aircraft units, with this attribute are eligible to perform heroic interventions as if they were a character unit. So Wraith Lords who can heroically intervene. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Maybe I'll stop playing Samhan. No. And then, of course, we get into the Ynnari, and, of course, they also get a stratagem as well, and they have warlord traits as well. And, yeah. Now, I don't do Ynnari. I mean, you know, I have a painted Incarn. I have a Vizark painted. I don't have Yvrain painted. But I don't know, maybe I'll dabble. I mean, like, I've always been meaning to get more Harlequins and more Dark Eldar because I like some of the flyers. I like the witches, and you know, there's a lot of things to like in the Dark Eldar books. And yeah, maybe I'll have to get more Drukhari in my collection. And then, of course, it gives you your Force Orgs as well, Harlequin Detachment abilities. It gives you stratagems and all that stuff, warlord traits, relics, stratagems. Very different though. Basically, it's kind of like 3 things: light, dark, twilight. That's interesting. I'm not that familiar with the Harlequins. I've never read their codex. You also get stratagems. I'm probably going to end up picking up the little box of stratagem cards that G-Dubs puts out. But for stratagems, holy camolies, there's like, what is it? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of stratagems. Now, mind you, they're not all the same. They're not all, you know what I mean? Some of them are for Craft World, some of them are for Ynnari, some of them are for Harlequins. But still, there's a whole bunch here. Man, like, good God, man. Next is Exarch powers. This one is really fun. This is different than what they've done in the past, other than maybe this is a little bit closer to like 1st and 2nd edition Eldar rules, where before you used to have to pay for the Exarch abilities, but you could get like basically a random table of them. There was more likelihood of basically the Exarch, you know, having similar powers, but like a power that's on a Dire Avenger could also be on a Swooping Hawk kind of thing, right? So anyway, with the Exarch powers, they have a little special table. If you pay for any of these special abilities for your Exarch, you also get an added benefit. For example, the wound characteristic goes up. If the model is a Crimson Hunter, Dark Reaper, Swooping Hawk, Fire Dragon, Exarch, improve its ballistic skill by 1. If the model is a Striking Scorpion, Howling Banshee, Shining Spear, or Warp Spider Exarch, add 1 to its attack characteristic. Really, really cool. Now, they do make distinctions for Crusade rules, so that, you know, you obviously when you're running through a campaign and what have you, that, you know, you gotta, you know, earn your abilities, right? Crimson Hunters. These rules here kind of make me want to pick up a Crimson Hunter. I don't have any in my collection, but basically, yeah, the Exarch has 3 powers you can pick from: Eyes of Cain, Strafing Assault, and Swooping Evasion. Swooping Evasion basically gives him an invulnerable save. Strafing Run. Each time the model makes a ranged attack, the target does not receive benefits of cover against that attack. Pretty handy. And each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that can fly, that has the fly keyword, that attack automatically hits its target. That one is mean. It's also cost points, and you know, they're not cheap. They're fairly expensive. But yeah, I might have to get myself a Crimson Hunter or 2. These abilities, like all the Exarchs, all have at least 3 abilities. Dire Avengers has defensive stance, shredding fire, and stand firm. They just make the units just so much better. War Spiders get Spider's Lair, Surprise Assault, and Web of Deceit. The Shining Spears, Expert Lancers, Heart Strike, and Lightning Attacks. Each time the unit makes a consolidation move, if it contains a Shining Spear Exarch, it can move an additional 6 inches. That's pretty darn cool. Each time the Shining Spear Exarch model makes a melee attack, an unmodified roll of 5+ inflicts a mortal wound on that target in addition to any normal damage. That's pretty darn cool too. In the fight phase, each time a model in the unit makes an attack, if this unit made a charge move this turn and contains a Shining Spear Exarch, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. I like that one as well. Howling Banshees, Graceful Avoidance, Nerve Shredding Shriek, say that 10 times fast. Piercing Strikes. Man, like there's just so many darn good rules for these Exarchs. Striking Scorpions get Crushing Blows, Deadly Ambush, Scorpion Sting. Dark Reapers, Bringer of Death, Focus Fire, and Reaper's Reach. Reaper's Reach? Fire Dragons, Blazing Fury, Burning Heat, and Dragon's Bite. Swooping Hawks. Oh man, there's some stratagems for the Swooping Hawks. They're going to be a pain. Swooping Hawks are going to be a pain. It kind of makes me want to just build a whole bunch of Swooping Hawks and just play with just a bunch of shenanigans. It's really quite funny. Rapid Deployment, Suppressing Fire, and Winged Evasion. A lot of them are just really, really fun. Suppressing Fire for Swooping Hawks. In your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, you can select one enemy unit that was the target of the ranged attack made by the unit Swooping Hawk Exarch model this phase and roll 3d6. If the result is greater than the enemy's unit leadership characteristic, until the start of your next shooting phase, that enemy unit cannot fire Overwatch, set to defend, or perform any actions. If that unit was performing an action, that action immediately fails. That's the Exarch just laying down suppressing fire on a unit. So anybody who wants to, basically soften up and make sure that you're not going to get shot while charging in, you send these boys in first, and they'll fix that little red wagon for you. Harlequins, they get pivotal roles. The Troop Master gets 3 abilities: Prince of Light, Queen of Shards, and Veiled King. Death Jesters get Harvester of Torment, Lord of Crystal Bones, Rift Ghoul, whatever that is. Solitaire gets Prince of Sins, Spectre of Despair, and Thirsting Darkness. Shadow Seers get Agent of Pandemonium, Gloom Spider, Mirror Architect. Pretty darn cool. I like this, that they, expand out more of like the Harlequins and such. Then of course we get the Suriana chapter approved rules. So basically, if you're playing with any secondary objectives and stuff like that, you can play with these ones. It also has it for Harlequins, Suriani. Is there Yunari? No, there's no Yunari. Then we get into Relics, and of course some familiar ones are here: Cernius' Bow, the Phoenix Gem, Shard of Anaris, Falchu's Wing. I don't know if I say that one right. Fire Saber, Sunstorm. That's the Sunstorm. Suriana Biker basically just gets a move characteristic of 20. Basically just gives them a bonus, 4 inches. But yeah, but everybody around gets objective secured, which is really nice. Aegis of Eldanesh. The bearer has a save characteristic of 2+. Each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, subtract 1 from that attack's damage characteristic to a minimum of 1. I think that one's really cool. The Sweeping Stones. Oh, this one's really cool. It's for an Assyriani Psyker. Model only. While the bearer is on the battlefield, each time you make a Strands of Fate roll, you can roll 1 additional d6. Man, really, really fun, right? Storied Sword. The Suit of Hidden Knives. Crescendo. Is it Sigora or is it Kagora? Kagora's Rose. Star Mist Raiment, and the Laughing God's Eye. Were these just specifically Harlequins? Oh, maybe they are. Yeah, I see a little symbol for Harlequins on it. So these ones were just for the Harlequins. Then the Avenging Blade, Dragon's Fury, Shadow Sting, Crone, Scream, Phoenix Plume, Spider's Bite, Cain's Lance, and Shrine Skull. Are these just for Aspect Warriors? Is that what these are? Yeah, it looks like it's Dire Avenger Exarch, Fire Dragon Exarch, Striking Scorpion Exarch, Swooping Hawk Exarch, Warp Spider Exarch, and Shining Spear Exarch, and then Dark Reaper Exarch. That skull that you see, the Dark Reaper, that's actually this little relic thing. So, anybody was wondering. Then, of course, the Assyriani get Warlord traits. There's 6 of them. Ambusher Blades, Walker of Many Paths, Falcon Swiftness, Fate's Messenger, Mark of Incomparable Hunter, and Seer of Shifting Vector. Now, some of these abilities have changed a bit. They're not quite like, there used to be one where it was, you can't fire Overwatch on them. That is gone, I believe. That one's changed. Harlequins get Favor of Kagora, Fractal Storm, and A Foot in the Future. I think that's really cool. But yeah, they all get their own warlord traits. Psychic disciplines, holy camoles. Phantasmancy, Phantasmancy. Can't even say it. 6 abilities there. This seems more like the abilities for Harlequins. Runes of Battle, these are the old Warlock ones. These ones got changed a bit. For example, like Conceal. Conceal used to be a +1 to the, -1 to hit. I think ignored cover or something like that, right? Reveal, Conceal, and Reveal. Basically, you can select one of your Assyriani core units within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until, if you're using Conceal, it is the unit benefits from light cover. If you use Reveal, 18 inches from the Psyker, and the enemy unit does not benefit from benefits of cover. Tweak them a little bit, but given them the -1 to hit with Conceal, which was, just kind of like, arbitrary, and, it was a lot more useful than I guess really what was intended, right? But also too, like with this book, the Eldar have a lot of boosts across the board. And so I think with a lot of these powers, with the way they used to work, they would have been just too much if they had kept them. And so, yeah, they had to tweak these rules a bit, right? But yeah, they're still all there. Embolden, Horrify, Enhance, Drain, Protect, Jinx. Jinx was another one that I used all the time, but that one's completely changed now. Quicken and Restrain, and an Empower and Invenerate. Enervate. Anyway. Runes of Fate, these are the ones typically the Farseer uses, which is Guide, Doom, Fortune, Executioner, Will of Assyrian, and Mind War. And they're all a little bit different, pretty good. They actually have variable distances for these Farseer ones. If you just roll under, 9? Rolling under 9 or rolling under 10? Yeah, rolling under 10. If you roll under 10, the range is 18 inches, but if you roll 10 or more, the range goes to 24 inches. Which is interesting. But yeah, then of course you get the Runes of Fortune, which is Fateful Divergence, Witch Strike, Ghost Walk, Crushing Orb, Focus Will, and Empower Senses. Then of course the Revenant Discipline, which is for Yenid, right? Yeah, the Inari. Gaze of Yenid, Storm of Whispers, Word of the Phoenix, Unbinding Souls, Shield of Yenid, and Ancestor's Grace. Lots and lots of psychic powers. It's also got the Crusade rules. Now, I've not played any Crusade before, so these are, I've done campaigns in the past, but never anything like this. I'm not that familiar with the new Crusade rules. Lots of tables, lots of rep points. Yeah, it's pretty darn interesting. For everybody out there who likes doing Crusades and campaigns and stuff like that, yeah, there's a big section in here on all the stuff you can do and keep track of and upgrade your units. Then, of course, fighting out match play rules. Of course, the abilities of the army is battle focused, Favorite of Cain, and the Strands of Fate. Strands of Fate, man, it's gonna take me a little while to get used to doing that every turn. Although I do look forward to doing it, but yeah, I have to write it on my hand every time. Remember the Strands of Fate. Oh yeah. Deployment abilities, advanced positions. During deployment, when you set this unit up, every model in the unit has this ability. It can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy deployment zone and enemy models. And of course, some units also have sudden assault. During deployment, if every model in the unit has this ability, you can set up the unit preparing a sudden assault instead of setting up on the battlefield. If you do so, then in the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. Very, very handy. Then, of course, shuriken weapons. Basically, if you roll a 6, it's an additional -2 to the save. So, pretty straightforward. Harlequins, they get their Harlequin's Penelope, Rising Crescendo, and Luck of the Laughing God. Oh, they get luck rerolls depending on the size of the army. That's pretty cool. Then we get into the the data sheets for all the units, and like this is basically at page 145 and onward to 200. So it is a pretty thick section. Like there, that's how much of the codex is dedicated to units, right? Oof. It's quite a bit. So you get the Avatar of Cain. I think we've seen enough of Avatar of Cain. Farseer Skyrunner. Oh, there was a few things though that I did want to address because I have been absorbing this book since Games Workshop sent this to me and everything like that for a review. But we got Farseer Skyrunner, Eldrad Uthran, Farseer. So the Farseer and the Skyrunner. Okay, so the Skyrunner, basically, this is the one I use all the time because he's on a jet bike. Profile's pretty much the same. But the big change was Ghost Helm. This model never suffers perils of the warp. And then Runes of the Farseer. At the start of each battle round, after making Strands of Fate roll, but before selecting which dice to retain for each Farseer model in your army that is on the battlefield and not within engagement range of enemy units, you can re-roll one of those dice. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, he can do 2 psychic powers, he can do Smite, and he can pick from Runes of Fortune and Runes of Fate. So that's pretty darn cool. He's very, very useful. He can cast 2, he can deny 2, which is very, very handy. The Autarch on foot, I think we've all seen his rules. He gets a really interesting one here. Superlative Strategist. Well, any unit from your army with this ability is on the battlefield or embarked within a transport model that is on the battlefield, you can use the command reroll stratagem twice during each phase instead of only once. I think that's kind of cool. The Skyrunner, Autarch, they kind of nerfed him a bit in my opinion. He doesn't get access to like the Banshee Mask or the Manda Blasters anymore, whereas he used to. Because I used to play him with the Banshee Mask because charge in, can't overwatch him, and then of course, other units would follow him in, right? He's pretty handy. He's only toughness 4 though, but whatever. He's got 5 attacks, which is nice. Basically he gets the Lance and Shuriken Catapults, or you can swap it out for a Fusion Gun or Banshee Blade, Banshee Power Sword, right? And he gets the same abilities as the other one, except that he can also move automatically 6 when he advances. So, yeah. You also get a Surman, Baharath. A Surman, basically, yeah. His invulnerable save is a 3+, so it's kind of cool. He's got the battle focus, Strands of Fate, and Favorite of Cain. The Phoenix Lords are all pretty darn good. Fugan is a bit tougher than the rest of the Phoenix Lords. Jane Czar is really, really awesome. It's kind of hard not to include her in the army. Candrus, man, there's like all sorts of stuff here. Mogan Ra, of course, we've had a peek at him. Illic Night Spear. What was it? There was one thing in here that I really, really liked. Oh, I think it was his Voidbringer, yeah. And I'm not 100%. I've never used this model before in the game, but I was reading about his rules. He's a 48-inch, heavy 1, strength 6, -3, doing 3 damage apiece. Each time you select a target for this weapon, you can ignore the Lookout Sir. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified roll of 4+ inflicts D3 mortal wounds on target in addition to any normal damage. So he's doing 3 damage plus possibly 3 more mortal wounds. That's pretty crazy. Spirit Seers can manifest 1 power. They're also really great for keeping your spirit host in the game, as it were. And he's got like a witch staff, pistol. He's pretty standard. He's not high power level or anything like that. Guardian Defenders, Guardians, we had a peek at those, so we kind of know what their stats are like. Rangers got really good. They get 2 bits of war gear, the gloom field or the wire weave net. I'm kind of leaning towards wire weave net. Basically, when they get charged, you subtract 2, and the charging unit also suffers D3 mortal wounds. Versus the gloom field, if you're over 18 inches away, then they get the benefit of dense cover, which is, you know, pretty handy. And their cloaks also give them additional cover, so it's pretty cool. Storm Guardians, man, they're pretty darn good. They get the Serpent Shield, which basically gives the whole unit a save. And the one really fun one is on a 1-2, attacks fail, like for ranged attacks. It protects them against ranged attacks. These are definitely getting included in the army. Now, there's only 3 troops for the army. Those are all HQs, yeah. There's only 4 troop units, excuse me. Corsair Void Reavers. Basically just a Corsair unit. It's kind of like the Void's Guard, but the Void's Guard also has the characters involved, which is like the Shade Runner, Soul Weaver, and Way Seeker, which is like the Psyker, the one holding the runes, you know, stuff like that. Versus just taking a regular Corsair Void Reavers, they're just a Void Reaver and then a Felarch, which is like their sergeant, right? But they get all the options other than those other characters, which, you know, gives you more rules for stuff. Then the Warlocks are pretty much remain mostly the same. They can go from 1 to 6. They don't go to 10-man units anymore. They're an elite choice. They can be in a council. And if you have a Farseer in your army, you can basically take a unit of Warlocks in addition with the Farseer. So basically it counts as one choice instead of taking the Farseer and taking the Warlocks and taking up 2 slots on your army, which is pretty handy. Farseers are Warlocks also know Smite, as well as one of the runes of battle discipline, which is pretty handy. Warlock Skyrunners. Now here's where my army takes a bit of a hit. I was a little bit disappointed in this. Warlock Skyrunners, because I used to be able to take them in 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 in the squad. They go 1 to 3 now, and it's an elite choice. Profile is pretty much the same. I think they might have lost a wound. I can't recall. Same weapon options, dual shuriken catapults, take witchblades or take singing spears. Singing spears obviously got better. They do a straight 3 damage instead of D3. And they always wound on 2 or betters. In the shooting, they're basically a strength 9, no AP, doing 3 damage, 12-inch range, assault 1. So they're still pretty good. The Conclave, if you have a Farseer, you can bring a Conclave and it doesn't, you know, cost you anything. But they're 1 to 3. I was a little disappointed at that. But if you take them in as a 3-man unit, they can cast 2 powers and deny 2. I have 10. And so basically I could take 3 groups of 3. Previously, when I took the full 10-man unit, they could only do 3 powers. They could cast 3, they could deny 3. But now I have 3 groups of 3. You do the math. It's going to be more elite choices taken up, right? Dire Avengers, man, everything got good. Everything got good. I mean, like I said, we're not going to, delve too heavily into the rules here, as plenty of other channels will be talking about this stuff as well. Banshees, Striking Scorpions. I'm just going to try and cover some of the stuff that I thought was really, really interesting as I've been reading through this. Wraith Blades, really darn good. The Ghost Axe and the Shield, they get their invulnerable, but with the blades, they go with more attacks. They are a base of 3 attacks each. And they're pretty straightforward. Oh, with Wraithbone form. Basically, all incoming damage gets reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1 for all Wraith Blades, which I thought was really cool. Wraith Guard get that same Wraithbone form, but they also get War Construct. Models in this unit can make attacks with ranged weapons even while the unit is within engagement range of enemy units, but each model can only make such attacks against enemy units that they are engagement range of. In such circumstances, models in this unit can target an enemy unit even if other friendly units are within engagement range of the same enemy unit. Pretty darn cool. So basically, you don't even have to, because before they could leave combat and still shoot, but now they don't even have to leave combat. They can stay right in there and just fire into the enemy unit that they're fighting against or that's engaged with them, right? They still get D-sides and Wraith Cannons. I'm pretty sure these stayed, I think, pretty much the same. Although the Wraith Cannon is a little bit more reliable with how much damage it's doing a turn, and it also does mortal wounds. Well, so does the D-Scythe. The D-Scythe, yes, the D-Scythe did change because it used to be more like a flamer attack. So it was automatic hits, whereas now it is blast. So bit of a change there. Little loss of reliability, but I think having them as a flamer before was a little bit OP. So yeah, I can kind of get with that. Now here's a change that I thought was really interesting. The Wraith Lord. The Wraith Lord is an elite choice now. He's not heavy anymore. And he also does not have a degrading profile. So as he takes wounds, he's not being reduced in his abilities at all. And he's still really, really tough. He just comes with he comes starting with 2 shuriken catapults with his Wraithbone Fist. So you can get him a glaive, and then you can also get, swap out his things like way I like to take them, which is basically flamers in the glaive. No heavy weapons. And the glaive gets really good. It's reliable. It does the 2 attacks. It can do crushing strike or sweeping blow. Basically, it can deal with, crowds. And he also benefits from Strands of Fate as well as Wraithbone Form, which is incoming damage reduces by 1. Really, really handy. It's interesting that they moved the Wraith Lord over to Elite, though. Yeah, I'm not sure why that was, but Wind Riders, the little jet biker duders, 3 to 9, they stay pretty much the same. Pretty sure. Oh, right, yeah, they get an ability called Swift Demise. Each time this unit makes an attack with twin shuriken catapults against an enemy unit that is within range of any objective markers, re-roll to hit rolls of 1. That's kind of handy, especially when they're trying to knock somebody off objectives, right? So that's pretty darn handy. Vipers, 1 to 3, still the same options: missile launchers, bright lance, scatter lasers, shuriken catapults, star cannon, and twin catapults. Now here's one of the big changes that I had noticed was the model can have each of their shuriken catapults replaced with one of the heavy weapons, but that's it. Or they can have their shuriken cannon replaced. So they only do the 2 catapults and the shuriken cannon, and you can replace the cannon with another weapon, which means that you're always left with that dual catapult underneath. So there's no more dual shuriken cannons on a Viper, which I'm sure many of you out there are probably like, oh, that sucks. And it kind of does, yeah. But hey, they're still really good units. I still play with a bunch of them. Swooping Hawks, I'm probably gonna have to bring Swooping Hawks. Swooping Hawks have a really great ability, Skyleap. In your shooting phase, instead of making a battle focus move with this unit, you can move this unit from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So if you want to go hit somebody with that suppressing fire and then bug out, you can totally do it. Yeah, I might have to get myself some more Swooping Hawks. I think all mine are pewter and fine cast, so. And these are ones I wish they had a plastic, because the pewter ones, keeping those darn wings on, oh, it's always such a pain. Warp Spiders, I think we've talked about these guys. I think they got, we got treated to a sneak peek of them. The big one though, that I don't know if was really talked about, was the Flicker Jump. The first time in each phase, this unit is selected as a target of a charge. If this unit is not within engagement range of enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches. Until the end of the next phase, this unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. I thought that was really interesting. So as soon as they get charged, they can go, oh, no, and leave. Go, nope, and leave. I thought that was kind of interesting. All the Aspect Warriors, also, I think this has been pretty much known for a while, right? They all have invulnerable saves. Shining Spears, definitely gonna have to get these guys on the tabletop. They go from 2 to 6 unit size. They're pretty darn good in combat, and they get the lances, Star Lance, catapults. Exarch gets a Paragon Saber, whatever the heck that is. He can also take a Shimmer Shield, but they already get an invulnerable save just for being, Aspect Warriors. They benefit from Battle Focus Strands of Fate. They can always move 6 inches in the advanced stage. But here's the other one, Acrobatic Grace. Each time a range attack is made against this unit, subtract 1 from that attack's roll. That's pretty handy. Against range attacks and people trying to shoot these guys, Shroud Runners, I think we were all very familiar with these. These go 3 to 6 squad size. They get the long rifle, scatter lasers. Scatter lasers got pretty good too because they're now heavy 6. No AP on their shots, but only do 1 damage. But 36-inch range, pretty reliable as far as like laying some shooting down at people. Yeah, Shroud Runners, really good. These are all fast attack, by the way. War Walkers in the heavy category. These guys, I think, got better. Their price is about the same. When I was looking at their points values, their price is about the same. But, for example, like I usually take my War Walkers with Star Cannons. And Star Cannons, I think, went up a strength and got better on the AP and a little bit more reliable as far as damage is concerned. They get a invulnerable save. They also explode. They also benefit from advanced positions, so they can infiltrate onto the battlefield, which is really handy. Dark Reapers, I think we got a pretty good look at what Dark Reapers are like. Support weapons, I have old support weapons. I hardly ever use them. I like D-cannons, but Shadow Weavers, I think I might take more often. 48-inch range, heavy D6. It's a strength 6, -2, 1 damage, but it's blast, and they do not have to see the target that they're hitting. That's pretty darn good. D-cannon's still a short-ranged gun, and Vibro Cannon gets really good. Their power level's not very high, and I don't think the points values are very high for these things, but yeah. Falcon, one notable thing that I thought was really interesting about the Falcon is the pulse laser. It's a 48-inch, heavy 2, strength 9, -3, D3 +3 damage. That's it. It's straightforward. The vehicle upgrades got changed. Crystal Targeting Matrix allows you to ignore to hit modifiers. Spirit Stones, instead of getting the roll, like a Feel No Pain roll, they basically, you're considered having double the wounds. So as your profile degrades, you count as double the wounds of what you currently stand at. The way the degrading of profile goes, it seems like it's like when you're down like like your last couple wounds, like it only really affects you once you're at 6 wounds to 3 and then 3 to 1, right? So, but yeah, Star Engines add 3 to the move characteristic. That's handy. And Vectored Engines, I really like this one. This one will probably see a lot of, like you'll see a lot of Eldar players take this this upgrade. Vectored Engines, once per battle in your command phase, you can achieve this model's activate this model's Vectored Engines. If you do so until the end of the phase, the model has battle focus ability. Pretty darn handy. Of course, it benefits from Strands of Fate, Sudden Assault, so it can come in onto the table and hold it in reserve. It's a hover tank, it explodes, and also gets the Cloud Strike rule, which basically allows you to bring this in, and the troops can immediately disembark. But they also have to be 9 inches away from the enemy units. That's pretty handy. It still only transports 6 dudes though. So the Night Spinner, the most notable thing about this thing is that its gun got, I think, a good boost. Basically, it is 48 inches, heavy 2d6, strength 7, -2, 2 wounds apiece, blast, and it can fire at things that it can't see. So it doesn't need line of sight. It still gets options to all the other war gear, Strands of Fate, hover tank, and explodes. But that one is basically its gun got really good. The Fire Prism, old reliable. The old reliable Fire Prism. Yeah, it's still got the 2 modes of fire, super long range, heavy 2 at focused, heavy 2, it's a strength 14 -5, doing 3d3 damage, or dispersed, doing heavy 3d3, strength 6 -2, 2 with blast. And he gets the upgrades, the vehicle upgrades, gets Strands of Fate, hover tank, and explodes. The Fire Prism, it's always been pretty reliable tank, and yeah. Now, the trusty rusty Wave Serpent. This thing, man, it's got more wounds than the rest of the other tanks. So like the Fire Prism, Shadow Weaver, and the Falcon, they all have pretty much the same wounds. The Wave Serpent gets 1 more wound. And is the same toughness? Yeah, it's the same toughness. It comes with dual shuriken cannons and catapults, but you can upgrade them for dual launcher, dual lance, dual scatter laser, and dual star cannons. Dual star cannons is a lot of fun. I like that one. Dual lances, though, are pretty good too. And the bright lances are pretty reliable. So everything got pretty reliable. It gets all of the upgrades, but the Serpent Shield, the Wave Serpent Shield, listen to this. While this model is equipped with the Serpent Shield, this model has a 5 invulnerable save against ranged attacks. And the other one is each time a range attack is made against this model, an unmodified roll of 1, 2, 3 for the attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or model making the attack may have. 1, 2, 3, you shoot at him. So imagine Tau Railgun shooting at my Wave Serpent. 1, 2, 3, I roll a 1. Attack fails. That's kind of greasy. That's kind of greasy. I'm not going to lie. It's greasy. What are special abilities? Strands of Fate, Hover Tank, and Explodes. And it can carry 12 models. And it can carry Wraith Constructs. Yeah. That Serpent... The Wave Serpent has always been a really great transport. And it still retains the crown, as far as I'm concerned, as far as being one of the best transports for getting your troops into the field. And you give it that vectored engine, he can shoot and hide. Oh, it's greasy. I know it's greasy. Next we have for the flyers, because yeah, that was heavy, that was troop transport. And then for flyers, we get the Crimson Hunter. He stays, pretty darn good. Strands of Fate, Supersonic, Sky Hunter, Hard to Kill, Airborne, and Explodes. Those are all pretty much what it used to be able to do. Pretty darn good. Of course, you can equip one of them to be an Exarch, which we had a quick look at the Exarch powers. Pretty darn greasy. Hemlock Wraith Fighter. This one, I think, took us a minor hit, but it really didn't hurt it that bad. Its degrading table is basically the last 3 wounds is when you really start to need to pay attention, because that takes you to the second profile, and then when it's on its last wound is its last profile. So, basically you're not losing too much with this thing. The D-sides, the heavy D-sides, have a nice range. They're basically 18 inches, heavy D6 and blast. They're not flamer templates anymore. Just like the Wraith Guard unit. They lost that. The Mind Shock Pod is pretty much kind of the same. It's a -2 to the leadership. This thing's also a Psyker. Now, the other one that's really fun is that this Hemlock benefits from that Wraith Bone form, so it degrades damage profile from attacks. Hard to hit, so -1s. Airborne, and Explodes, and it can benefit from Strands of Fate as well. It is a Psyker, and it knows 1 psychic power from Smite and Runes of Battle. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Then, of course, the Wraith Knight and Webway Gates for the Lords of War and Fortifications. We recently just looked at the Wraith Knight as far as previews on Warhammer Community's website, so I don't really think I need to get into this guy too much. I think I'll probably be bringing mine to the field. Now, according to its profile, I think it lost a couple wounds. I don't think it has as many wounds as it used to have. But otherwise, yeah, he's pretty darn good. Then we get into the Harlequins, Troop Master, Shadow Seer. I never really played with these guys before, so I can't really compare them as far as like if they got up or went down, whatever, or stayed the same. That's a little bit outside of my experience. But they look pretty darn good. Death Jester troops, Solitaires, Sky Reavers, Void Reavers, Star Weavers, and then of course we get into your Rain, the Vizarch, and the Incarn. The Incarn. We did a video on the Incarn. The Incarn got pretty greasy as well. Basically, he can hit everybody within, like, what is that, 6 inches? Yeah, he can hit everybody within 6 inches kind of thing. Then we get into all the weapon profiles on this as well, the melee weapons. Then we get all the points values for everybody, and of course we get the points values for the Harlequins. We get a glossary at the end and a Suriani reference, and of course the Harlequins reference, and that is it. That is the Codex Aeldari. Huge thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this review copy of the book. Man, this just fantastic. I can't wait to start really digging in and getting some more of these models finished, get them ready for the tabletop, and start getting some more games in. And thankfully, I have a very active community around this area, so not any difficulty finding anybody to find a game with. Exciting stuff. I'm sure many of you are not terribly excited about new Eldar units becoming more powerful and stuff like that, but it definitely looks like a lot of Eldar units got better. Powers are, it seemed like they came down a bit, but I think that's because all the units kind of got buffed. So My only disappointment really is the Warlock Conclave Skyrunners. The fact that they changed that unit size. Other than that, I think it's fantastic. You know, I'm not too hurt over it, and I'm definitely going to be looking for ways to really kind of to get really greasy with these guys. Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this vid, if you made it this far, and a huge thank you everybody does. A huge thank you to all my patrons. Without your support, this channel would not be possible, and so a huge thank you to all of you for your support and continued support, and all you brand new ones as well. Take care of those brushes. They'll take care of you, and I will see you guys in the next video.